Could we have a motion to approve the agenda, please? All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. You have in front of you the minutes from August 26th, in camera and regular, and September 9th, committee of the whole, and in camera. Somebody prepared to move the acceptance of those?
Warden, one question on the agenda. Sorry I didn't get in there earlier. We had talked about, I guess this would go in committee of the whole. We had talked about making a motion based on the recommendation we received from Larry Phillips' presentation at committee of the whole. Can we add that to the agenda?
Sure. So I guess we have to go back. Is that fine with the mover and the seconder of and all the council that voted in favor? Okay. Thank you. We'll move that. Recommendations from in committee.
Okay.
So, John, I see some lights flashing, Rick, and
All right,
John, go ahead.
I guess I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes from August 26th regular meeting, August 26th in-camera meeting, September 9th committee of the whole meeting, and September the 9th in-camera meeting.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Warden's remarks. Just briefly, I would like to remind any of the public that are watching this on TV that the fall pickup, the dates will be in the next Vanguard, I'm assuming, or the following one. And there's a flyer will be coming out in the mailboxes. And if you have any questions, just call the office for the whatever days your date will be for your pickup. Thank you. Moving on to 5.1, second and possible final reading municipal bylaws, 511 tax exemption bylaw T-082-03.
I'd like to move to approve second reading tax exemption bylaw T-082-03.
Do we have a seconder for that? Yes. Councillor Cunningham. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. 5.1.1.1 is a letter from Gardeners Mill Homeowners Association request for tax exemption. Well, that's the same one. Okay, I'm sorry. 5.12 Heritage Property Bylaw H-064-84.
I move to approve the second reading of Heritage Property Bylaw H-064-84.
Do we have a seconder for that? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. Motion carried. 5.2, first reading. 5.2-1, private road maintenance and improvement bylaw P-088-14.
I move to approve the first reading of bylaw P-088-14.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Okay. No further discussion. All in favor? Pardon? Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I guess my question is going to be directed through you, Mr. Chair, to the CAO. I am under the assumption that we're going to have to set a date for a public hearing regarding this.
We will advertise for the second and possible final reading of the bylaw, which should be able to be held at the regular meeting in October.
So are we going to, do we advertise now that this is going to possibly?
It's required to advertise that it's past first reading and the second reading will be held.
So do we set a date today, or?
It's not necessary. You can if you'd like, but it'll, if we can get everything in place, it'll be the regular meeting in October. We should be able to have time to get that in.
The reason why I,
The approval would be to proceed to second reading.
okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to 5.3, the audit committee, along with the CEO and Greg Shea, have met and gone over the finances, and Grant Thornton will now, and Greg will do a presentation of the audit and the results.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. So Paul had other commitments tonight, so I'm going to try to go through this as best as I can, okay? So I'll note that yesterday we went through these consolidated financial statements with management and with the audit committee in detail, so this is going to be on a higher level for you guys, okay? So the consolidated financial statements for March 31st, 2015 consists of the municipality's operations and also include your guys' ownership in the Mariner Center, Airport, Industrial Commission, YASTA, and Yarmouth County Solid Waste. So same as prior years, okay? So I'll first direct your attention to page 1. So this is the independent auditor's report. So there's been no changes from prior years, so we have a clean audit opinion once again. So that means there's no material misstatements, and the financial statements are prepared in accordance with public sector accounting standards. So we'll move to page 3, statement of operations. So I'll go through the actuals to actuals, 2015 compared to 2014. They're kind of the most relevant comparisons to do. So we'll start with the revenue items. So tax revenues are up about $156,000 compared to the prior year, and that's mainly due to the 1 cent residential tax rate increase. Grants in lieu are mainly the same as the prior year. Services provided to other governments, there's about a $25,000 decrease there, and that has to do with just leisure services billings to the town of Yarmouth. Sales and services are down about $19,000 compared to the prior year. That has to do with some minor items in the Mariner Center and Airport, say like hangar revenues at the airport being down slightly compared to the prior year. Other revenue from own sources, so that's up about $80,000 compared to the prior year, mainly having to do with at Yarmouth County Solid Waste, the tipping fees were up compared to the prior year. Unconditional transfers from other governments, that one is down about $21,000 compared to the prior year. There was grants were down at the airport, they were up at the Industrial Commission, and gas tax grants were down for the municipality about $29,000 compared to the prior year. Conditional transfers, down about $65,000 compared to the prior year. So that mainly has to do with YASTA and the Redwood Cup last year. So that was a one-time thing with which funding was received. Interest income. So when we look at the actual compared to budget for interest, so in the municipality, there's no budget in the operating reserve and capital reserve for interest that's earned. So that's why we see a big difference there between the $401,000 and $238,000 that was budgeted. But when we look at actual to actual, they are very close compared to the prior year. Other revenue, that one's up about $40,000 compared to the prior year, and that mainly has to do, there was a $27,000 forgiveness of a part of the CSC and RCOM loan during the year. Rental and events, down slightly compared to the prior year, about $8,000. That, I guess, mainly has to do with the Domtex building, and that rentals decreased slightly there this year. And then food and beverage services, sales, sorry, so that mainly has to do with the Mariner Center. We can probably attribute that to last year, there was the World Junior A Challenge that kind of attracted more beverage and food sales for that event last year. So in total, revenues this year are $10 million compared to 9.9 last year, so about a $125,000 increase. On to the expenses. General government services, so that's up about $61,000 compared to the prior year. So that's mainly due to, I guess, the regular salary increases that we see in the admin staff and some increases in council payouts as well. Protective services, that is up $32,000, mainly due to increases in fire protection RCMP costs. Those increase every year and can't really be controlled by the municipality for the increases. Transportation services, that one is down $49,000, and that's mainly attributed to last year the municipality gave 2 emergency grants to the airport. This past year they only gave 1 to the airport. Environmental health services, that is up $86,000 compared to the prior year, mainly due to tipping fees and collection fees paid. Public health and welfare services down $15,000. That's mainly the medical clinics. I guess Harbor South Medical Clinic is kind of holding its own now, so we don't have to fund the deficit as much there anymore. Environmental development services, that is up $44,000 compared to the prior year. That mainly has to do with the cleanup for the Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission to clean up old balances that were owing. And finally, recreational and cultural services are up $37,000. For the municipality, the recreation costs were up about $70,000, whereas the Mariner Center expenses, which are grouped here, they were down about $28,000 compared to the prior year. So in total, we see expenses that are up $197,000 compared to the prior year. That gives us a bottom line before unusual items of a net income of $268,000. The 2 small items below that, write-down of tangible capital assets. So that is a write-down of a building in the Industrial Commission. And then the gain on disposal of tangible capital assets is a gain on a sale of property by the municipality. So bottom line is an annual surplus for the year of $283,000. So we can move to page 4, which would be the balance sheet. So I'm not going to talk about the cash items. Taxes receivable look comparable to the prior year, as do the due from federal governments and its agencies. Due from provincial government and its agencies. So last year, the municipality had a small amount owing for the Cape for Shoe project. That was obviously over at the end of this year, so no amount owing this year. Due from own funds and agencies, that mainly has to do with the Industrial Commission and the fact that in the prior year, the Industrial Commission owed a significant amount of money back to the municipality, but that was cleaned up at the end of this year. Other receivables, this year there's an amount owing from the town of Yarmouth in there at year end, so that's the main difference there. Portfolio investment, so the Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission has set aside money in an investment, so when we consolidate we pick up 1/3 of the Industrial Commission's investment, so that's that balance. And properties acquired at tax sale, that hasn't changed a whole lot from the prior year. So that gives us $11.1 million in assets compared to 10.2 last year, an increase of $863,000. For the financial liabilities, due to own funds and agencies is an amount owing to the Mariner Center. Payables and accruals, that's down quite a bit compared to the prior year. So once again in the Industrial Commission, so last year the Industrial Commission had significant payables relating to the ferry terminal repairs. So that was completed last year. Prepayment of taxes, up slightly compared to last year, not a significant difference. Deferred revenue, so in that $1.7 million balance is gas tax money, which has not been spent. So when that money is spent on projects, it will come into revenue. Tax sale surplus, so that hasn't changed a whole lot from the prior year. Repayable contributions, so that relates to Hebron Industrial Park loans. Some of the balance was paid off during the year. Long-term debt, so $170,000 was paid down on the loans during the year. Defined benefit pension plan, so that is the unfunded liability for a retired clerk. And finally, other post-employment benefits, so that is the liability related to the retirement and service awards. In total, that brings the financial liabilities to $6.81 million compared to $6.75 last year, an increase of about $59,000. So if we look at the net financial asset number, so that's kind of the key number that the province of Nova Scotia will look at. You guys are at $4.3 million at the end of this year, an increase of about $800,000 compared to the prior year. So that's a very good position for the municipality to be in. Below that, tangible capital assets, so that would be sidewalks, buildings, that type of stuff. So the one big project during the past year was the Port Maitland sewer treatment plant that would go in there. Small amount of inventories and prepaid expenses. That brings us to the bottom in the accumulated surplus, which would tie into the last page that we looked at. So that's the income statement and balance sheet. We're not going to go through any of the notes or anything like that. I know Greg and Ken had an opportunity to look at this kind of beforehand, so they would go through that. These are more or less accounting disclosures that, I mean, don't, I guess, provide any relevance to you guys tonight. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask myself or Greg.
Yes, I'd like to thank you for your presentation tonight. It was excellent, and as was your presentation at the audit committee.
Thank you.
And you know, I'm pleased that we're in such a strong financial position. I think it's a testament to the work of the council and work of staff as well. And looking forward to be able to get you know, have some capital projects you know, meet or have a number of capital projects completed over the next number of years to bring the services to the people of the municipality district of Yarmouth. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd just like to thank you again, and move to accept the report as presented.
Moved and seconded for the acceptance of the audit. Any further discussion? Question being called, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Chris, for coming in. Thank you, Greg. So nice work on behalf of council. Great work. We'll move on to new business. 6.1 was recommendations from the committee of the whole. 6.11 is it was asked by council to send a letter, and there's a copy of a letter that was sent on the Greenville Road Highway 1 trail. Go ahead.
Right, then we've spoken to Mr. Churchill, and I'm certain that he will you know, he'll endeavor to help us find the funding we need for that short section. It's an important section of sidewalk in District 5 from Route 1 to the railway track on the Greenville Road, and that will complete a loop and allow people access to the RCOM building via the new trail. So looking forward to having that happen over the next year or two, and and looking forward to hearing from our MLA on that project. Thank you.
6.1.2 is a letter from Nova Scotia Music Week. Have you all had a chance to review that? Great, Councillor.
I'll move that we grant the request for the in-kind requirements for the event in the amount of $4,466.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion carried. 6.1.3 is possible kiosk on the Halifax waterfront. I don't recall. Were we going to look at that through YASTA, John? Was there something there, or Mike? Go ahead.
Yes,
Sorry.
thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a YASTA meeting and we discussed this proposed project. All the board members of YASTA were certainly in favor of moving forward with this. However, what we recommended directed staff to do is to get a final costing on this project, and we would be doing that provided that the cost wasn't too high, that we would be partnering with all of our neighboring municipalities to go forward with this project. However, it must be noted that this will also be a possible increase of YASTA funding next year, so you may see an extra line item. Just reminding councillors, next year you may see an extra line item in the YASTA budget request when we go through our budgets. So we have discussed this, and staff is currently exploring the costs.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cunningham, hit your light mic, please. Trevor? Thank you. 6.4.1 is we're still waiting for more information on the Mariner Center heat recovery. 6.1.5 is anybody had a chance to come up with some citizen reps that would possibly set on the legacy? It's not really time sensitive, but we shouldn't linger with it too much neither, so. No, yeah, okay, so we'll leave that a standing item on the agenda for, okay. 6.1.6 is a request from Port Maitland Volunteer Fire Department for a capital loan. What's the wishes of council on that?
Thanks, Warden. I think that this type of arrangement is something that we've done to support the volunteer fire departments in the past, and I would move that we go ahead and sanction this this loan as in keeping with the oversight of the CAO and the finance department.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Do we have a seconder for that? Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion carried. Moving down, 6.2, letter to MLA and TIR on the Durkee Road Bridge repair. You have a copy of the letters that's been sent. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, sorry, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know a lot of people have seen this, that watch this on television or computer, however they watch it, and I just wanted to let everyone know that I've been trying to contact our MLA personally. I've been unable to do that. However, this issue is still on my radar, and I certainly would like to see this bridge repaired as soon as possible, because it's been a major inconvenience for the same reasons that I explained before when council approved this this letter to the member of the Legislative Assembly, Zach Churchill, and the TIR. So I am certainly on top of this, and I wish to thank council for your support in this letter to the Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Councillor. New business. No, I'm sorry, 6.3, you have a copy of the letter of response from the Premier McNeil on the MB Farley Mowat that we was sent out. Any further discussion on that? Okay. Moving on to new business, committee of the whole meeting date for November, which falls on November 11th, Remembrance Day. I guess I haven't talked to Ken, but I'm assuming we either want to reschedule it or skip it for the month of November, one or the other. What do you think, Ken? Does it look busy or?
It's probably a bit far off to tell what we may have for agenda items, so if we could perhaps, I just wanted to put it on the radar, but perhaps we could make a final decision on that within the next month, before that comes out.
Yeah, maybe on the 28th of October, if things are, it looks like a pretty quiet agenda and Liz should have more information by then, we'll cancel it. And if we need to meet, we'll have to just move it to a day or an evening or something. Is that okay with the council? Thank you. 7.2, August Development Report. You've had a chance to go through that.
I move we. Go ahead. I'll second that.
Thank you, councillors. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you. You, for your information, you have the fall cleanup collection dates and general information if you happen to get any call from our residents. 7.4 is an email from UNSM, provincial response on ferries. Letter from Minister McCullen. Great.
But I think that obviously the government believes that the ferry service is important to the area, and I'm pleased to date with the response and looking forward to supporting it moving forward.
Actually, this is in relation to the other provincial ferries operated throughout the province. It's not referencing the Nova Star.
Any further discussion? Okay. 7.5, Acadian Skies in Mi'kmaq Land Starlight Gala and Art Exhibit 2015. I haven't looked at that, so what do we need there, Ken? Do you know? Is that just information? Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, that's an invitation on October 10th. At the Wedgeport Tuna Museum. So if you want to mark that, anybody's interested on your calendars. Yes, go ahead.
That's going to be a wonderful event showcasing our Dark Skies initiative that YASTA has. Unfortunately, I'm going to be away on that date on October the 10th. And as you had stated earlier, it's going to be held at the Wedgeport Tuna Museum. And if any councillors wish to go, please certainly go. I understand it's going to be a fantastic event. There's going to be finger foods, music, different discussions on experts on the Dark Skies initiative and why this area is so good, and sure that it's going to be an event fit for the whole family. So I do recommend that each and every one of you, if you have the chance, to please attend that the gala.
Thank you. U 7.6 is a request for a letter of support for Choice Needs Assessment Proposal. Councillor Cunningham.
I'll move that we provide Choice Group with a letter of support.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Motion carried. 7.7 is a letter from the Fire Inspectors Association of Nova Scotia with a request for sponsorship of coffee breaks. Councillor.
Yes, I'll move that we support this endeavor in the amount of $250.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. 7.8 building permits, I have that on there. I picked up the Vanguard 2 weeks ago and I noticed at town council, and it was a little vague that they were gonna make it easier for certain building permits weren't gonna be required for certain things, and I just wanted some more information. And I know that we have our own autonomy. That's not the question, but my question is that we're such a small geographical area that any contractor here is one day working in Argyle municipality, another day he's working in the town, and he crosses the street, he could be working in the municipality of Yarmouth. So I just wanted to get a little information there and see what they were doing and see maybe we may want to do the same thing or discuss it. And I don't know if we had a chance to do that. Did we, Liz? No, okay. But it was in the Vanguard that they were going to do some work there, so that was why that was sitting there. I'm just trying to keep us all as level as we can.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
If I may, and this would be, I guess, a request of staff, could we have this on the next regular council agenda? Also linked to this would be that story, because I must have missed it somewhere. I just want to see what they're talking about. I'm a little afraid of I don't know if it's streamlining, I don't know if it's speeding up, because there's a lot of things that we have to do in accordance to the building codes and stuff, so I'm kind of curious what they were requesting. I see the CAO is looking to say something.
Go ahead.
We can get more information, and I believe in, I just took a quick look at the article. It's not any adjustment to the requirements of the code, it's an adjustment to the fee structure on small projects. Simply the fee structure, I believe, but I'll get more, we'll get more information.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was that
From the
they
town.
didn't charge for certain permits now if they were under such a square footage.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's the reason why I wanted a little bit of clarification. Like I said, I didn't read the article, so I guess on council's
We can
graces that
try
we
to
could
get more information from the
get more
town on exactly
information,
what it is
also
they're
link the
doing.
article to and carry this over to our
Yep.
next regular council agenda. Or even, I suppose, it could be put on our next committee of the whole agenda.
That's one thing.
Yeah, I think that may be
Yeah.
better to link it to our next committee of the whole agenda. So we
Okay.
can sit down and discuss, see what they're possibly doing, and give staff, as Ken would say, some time to find out what they're looking at.
Okay, 7.9 is recommendation from the Green Energy Committee.
Mr. Chair, I have to step away from the
Yes.
table due to a possible conflict.
Thanks. I'll speak to that a little bit as a member of the Green Energy Committee. Just that I want to move that we follow the recommendation of the Green Energy Committee as indicated in the in-camera session. Maybe more information, or is that enough, Liz?
That's good.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Did you want to discuss that? Okay, sorry. Steve, get your mic.
Yeah, and as it pertains to wind power in our county, there are many other municipalities that just for the, I guess, the information for the public, there are many other municipalities that have taken on wind projects as municipal units under the COMFIT program. And really, for a municipal unit, it's a provincial program, so municipal units either may participate or not. And we've chosen to try to participate in such a program as a municipal unit because there are financial incentives out there. The per kilowatt hour payment over a period of 20 years is very, very favorable for the municipality, and the net present value of projects are very, very, very good. I won't mention the figure here. That will come out in future consultations as the process moves along for potential sites. So I'd just like to say that that's the rationale for moving forward to such a thing. It's a sound financial choice for the municipality district of Yarmouth. And again, it's participation in a provincial program, and the choice is clear financially. It's a good thing for the municipality and for the municipal residents.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion carried. I have to apologize to our deputy warden. He added something to the agenda from committee of the whole, and since it wasn't in front of me on paper, so I'm going to back up and turn your mic and.
Okay, thanks, Warden. We were asked as a council, as were all the other councils in Nova Scotia, to comment on some policy recommendations pertaining to the Liquor Control Act.
Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt Deputy Warden, but this is also another item that I feel that I may be in conflict where I own a licensed Nova Scotia Liquor Agency Commission outlet store, so I'm sorry I have to step away from the table due to another possible conflict.
You're conflicted. In trying to do our best to honor that request and make an informed decision, we requested that Larry Phillips with the Nova Scotia Health Authority provide some insight into some of the implications related to that policy recommendation, and his recommendation back to us, and there was concurrence at the committee of the whole that we would request that a health impact assessment be conducted so that municipalities can make informed decisions, and residents of Nova Scotia can make sure that that their health is being factored into the equation when we consider things like this. So I would move that we request through the Minister of Health a health impact assessment so we can fully understand the implications related to the policy recommendations that came out through Minister McClellan's office.
CO, okay, no, CO, did you want to speak?
Just the recommendation coming from from council on that was to obtain some additional information from other units and from the chamber, and we're still awaiting some of that information from the other units. Is that correct?
I would suggest that we act on that additional information when it comes in, but I don't think that impacts the motion that I made this evening.
No, and I think the discussion was, did they do a health impact study, or if we want results of it if they did, or would, right, that's what you're asking.
Well, we haven't seen a
That's
health
right.
impact assessment, so
Okay.
yeah. So we would move that we would request that a health impact assessment be conducted to, yeah, as I stated, yeah.
So it's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion carried. You have in front of you your reports. Oh, new business. Sorry. Where am I? I gotta get down, yeah. Committee reports. screen had scrolled itself up. So any questions from council for any of the committee members? If not, we'll move on to in-camera recommendations. Do we have any more besides the green energy? And I'm checking with Liz, and she's shaking her head that no, there wasn't. It was just the green energy. So I move for adjournment. All in favor? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Warden.